Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Welcome back to another movie review. Um, and again back to another animated film. This is a film that I've talked about. Well, not I talked about on my review on my it's on my list of the 10 of my best films 2013, and this was on my within my top 10 best films of 2013 list. I can't remember whether it was number. I think it was number 4 or 5 on one of my best films of 2013. And I really did enjoy this film. Beautifully well made animated film, and this is Epic. Epic, which is made from the creators of Ice Age and Rio. And I also do have the poster right here, which I now also need to get framed. So, yeah. It's a well made animated film directed by Chris Wedge, who directed the Ice Age films, and Rio and Rio 2. And this is loosely based on the children's book called The Leaf Man and the Brave Good Bugs. And it has a pretty good voice cast in this film, which I'll get to. It was released last year, May 24th, 2013, on a budget of $93 million, and it was very successful. Made like $107 million in the U.S. and worldwide it made $268 million. So it did very good at the box office. But now less than the other films released by Blue Sky Studios, like compared to the Ice Age films and Rio 2, So, but still a successful film though. And the film has been mostly on reception-wise. They say it was mixed, but mostly positives though. But mixed, Has like a 6.7 rating on IMDb, and has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think both those could be just a little bit more higher, ratings. 60. I would give this one the 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would give it even a 7 point something on IMDb, because I think this is a really good film, in my opinion. That's why I put it on my top 10 list of best films of 2013, So we were looking, there was a review I was looking at, this right here, on Rotten Tomatoes, the site's, Rotten Tomatoes, the site's, reads, though its narrative themes are all too familiar, Epic is beautifully animated and crafted with just enough flair to make for solid family entertainment. Like I said, I do agree. It's really really well made, animated, and I just don't get well, maybe because of the characters narrating the film, maybe saying it's all too familiar, but I don't know. It's just I'm saying, but I don't get it though, but. Maybe it's like a typical thing where here narrating this and that, but I just still enjoy the film overall. And also the box office, it had some pretty good competition when it opened on its opening weekend. It opened up at number 4, sadly, because it had other films like Fast and Furious 6 and The Hangover Part 3 and Star Trek Into Darkness. That's when those three upper 1, 2, and 3 for the weekend box office rank, and this ended up being number 4. But a very good big opening for opening at number 4 though. 33 million. I think it was like 33 million over the opening weekend. So, like I said, so that's what, but still very successful overall. And getting into the plot of the film, it opens up with the main character MK or Mary Catherine narrating about the forest, and she's moved to her she's moving to the house like from much like in the middle of the forest with her scientist father voiced by Jason Sudeikis, who been mostly comedy films like in Hall Pass and Horrible Bosses, and also in the film with We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston, So, and he's a scientist who's obsessed with finding, because there's little people, human civilization living in the forest, tiny people called the Leaf Men, who is protector of the forest, and they're fighting to protect the forest against these creatures called Boggans, which is the lead soldier of the Leaf Men is Ronan, voiced by Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, this is like the first time he voiced in an animated film, And I liked Colin Farrell in this voicing in this film, For the first time he did really good, in this film. And then there was a fight beginning the film where Ronan is riding his hummingbird, and he's with his there's a young soldier named Nod, voiced by Josh Hutcherson from The Hunger Games, Journey 2, and Zethura. He's a young soldier, and he gets into trouble with some Boggans, and then after he decides to quit. But during this, this is when Mary Catherine is driving to the house to live with her father. But then when she gets there, her father, he sees her father is so wrapped up in work, and he also has his dog, Ozzy, forgot what type of dog it is though, and which has 3 legs. He tells Mary Catherine, which she wants to go by MK, that's why he's all this, and why he's obsessed with telling he has all these cameras around throughout the forest, and he tells her that there's these tiny organization people, and he really wants to find them and study them, and MK tells him he's living in a fantasy because it's the reason why he lost his career and his marriage, but he still wants to keep doing what he's doing. And while in the forest, the queen of the forest, or you could say like a Mother Nature figure, named Queen Tara, voiced by Beyonce Knowles. It comes around this time to pick a new queen, and she goes up to this field, this little pond that is full of leaf pods, and which is guarded by like a snail and a slug, Mub and Grub. Mub the slug is voiced by Aziz Ansari, who's been in other comedy films like 30 Minutes or Less, or he has like a brief appearance in This Is the End, or was he in the other comedy film with the Seth Rogen, Observe and Report. And he also voiced the crazy the rabbit in Ice Age 4 Continental Drift, But in this film, I like Aziz Ansari. He was some of the I think it's better some of the comedies he's done. I did not like 30 Minutes or Less. I did not like that film with Jesse Eisenberg, with also starring him in it though. Did not like that film. But sometimes I always figure, sometimes other actors, when they don't do good in other films, they do good when voice acting in animated films, And but Aziz Ansari, he was good voicing as Mub, and the other was the snail Grub, voiced by Chris O'Dowd. So that's just so the Queen Tara comes in to pick a pod for that will to bring to this other place in the forest. What was it, midnight, the moonlight, or I forget what the place was. They put in this place to make it open the moonlight, and it'll pick a new queen. That's what she's there for. But then Ronan, he sends something, and he shoots an arrow into a tree, and which is my brother also saw this, and he's like, wow, this is like really weird, because when you see the forest and all these living plants are, when they're camouflaged, looking ordinary, they're all really alive, He's like, oh wow, And then also there's a boggin that he killed a boggin that was camouflaged in bark in the tree, using it as shields, And you see all these boggins that are disguised as bark, rise up and they attack, and they attack, and they try to kill the queen, and since she's the queen of the forest, she can control the plants and stuff, And while this is going on, since back at the house, MK decides to leave because her father is not paying any attention, still doing what he's doing. So she decides to leave when the dog runs outside and she's looking for him. And the leader of the Boggins, Mandrake, voiced by Christoph Waltz, who been a few films. One, he won for Best Supporting Actor in Django Unchained, but I mostly know him from that film. But he's the leader of the Boggins, and him and his son. As they attack, Ronan rescues the queen, but Mandrake's son shoots an arrow, and Ronan grabs it out and shoots it right back, and it kills him. But he noticed that Mandrake shot an arrow, and it struck the queen, and she falls down. And when MK sees the little person floating down, she gives her the pod, and then she shrinks down to their size, to tiny sizes, and she thinks it's all gonna be a dream, It's like she sees like a bee full of passengers, like, that's a big bug, and Ronan's like, no, they're average size, He's like, what, are you saying that I'm tiny? It's like, and then she realizes she's tiny, But before that, she sees that the queen tells her to take the pod to the scroll keeper called Nim Galoo, Then she disappears, So she and Ronan go to get Nod, who's in this this flying race competition. He wins, and then where that's run by this bullfrog named Bufo, I think it was, and it's voiced by Pitbull, the singer. And Ronan comes in, tells him the queen is dead, and then all of them together are riding towards the place where the scroll keeper is. They visit the scroll keeper named Galoo is voiced by Steven Tyler, the singer for Aerosmith. Takes him down to this library that's full of scrolls, and he's saying everything you hear is being recorded, and Mub and Grub are like, is this being recorded? They're playing with their eyeballs and stuff, And Tara MK wants to know how she wants to get back to her normal size, and she sees like this Minglu gives her a scroll that shows a message that's from Queen Tara. Tells her, the way she has to get back to normal is to put up that was it the pod to this place. Well, I can't remember what was it, Moonhaven. I can't remember. It's called Moonhaven. That's the place to put the pod where it will bloom in the moonlight. But Mandrake, he's upset about his son dying, and he wants to take that pod and let it glow into darkness, and destroy the forest with this and also always destroying the plants and stuff, with this magic tar, this tar that will just ruin everything, like ruin the plants and stuff, that's what he wants to destroy the forest with. But while that Mandrake comes in riding this mole and takes Mug and Grub, because since they're the little ones that keep the pot alive, but keeping them moist and stuff, So they get the MK gets an idea, a word how to get to their place without being noticed, so she takes the Nod and Ronan back to her place, and pardon me. And they hear a big stomping noise, which is MK's father, which from their point of view, the regular sized humans, they're all slow moving and talking in slow-mo, from their point of view, and he tells us that's her dad, and but she says that Rowan tells him he's been obsessed on finding them, and they've been purposely throwing him off their track, so they'll never find what their real place is, And she gets upset because he's been right all the time, and she's been wrong about him, and feeling sorry, and she gets mad at them for doing that to him, It's been his life. It's because it's been his life's work, proving he was not crazy after all. And she jumps down to tell him that he was right, but he can't hear him. But Ozzy, with his great hearing, hears her and approaches her. He's like Ozzy, no kisses, and he chases her around. And the professor sees a tiny person, and he gets this invention. He invented this suck up gizmo, and the three of them try to escape by climbing up the rope that brings the blinds down, but MK gets sucked into that contraption, and her dad thinks it's a soldier, but he sees her daughter there, and he faints, he faints, and she gets and the thing breaks. But before leaving, she takes the red thumbtack that's supposedly the real location, and she puts into the right place. So giving him the location to the real place, before leaving. So they take the stuff they came for to disguise themselves, look like Boggins, to walk past them to get Mub and Grub. And I always thought, even from the TV spots when Mub and Grub were captured, they're keeping the pod moist, right? And Mandrake, is checking up on him, and Mub's like, Ugly says what? And he says, what? And he says, oh, nothing. They're just snickering at each other, I did like that moment where it says, Ugly says what? What? So they get in there, and Ronan creates a distraction, so the rest of them can escape. Fights Mandrake, but he sees them, but orders all the entire colony of Boggins, but they escape, but Ronan couldn't, so he tries to fight them off, but they overpower him. You don't see him killed, but I knew he was alive after that, though. So they get to the place, to Moonhaven, and as where everybody is waiting, as they put the pod down to let it bloom in the sunlight, but the boggans are riding on the bats. You know, they're blocking out the moon, so it'll bloom in darkness. But Nod, you know, since he feels, you know, that he feels a bit down because Ronan was his friend, you know, but so he goes and leads the army to fight them so they can try to unblock the moon to move all the Bogans away. Mandrake, well, before that, MK gets the idea to fly towards one of the cameras so that MK, her father, can see. But since he's feeling he's quitting on everything, since he's losing his mind, you know, seeing his daughter, you know, he has to shut everything down. Before that, he sees them. He looks at the map and figuring out where her daughter is, and he's running, and she gets his iPod because he has this music of bat sounds to attract the bats, you know. And the bats follow him running away. He's like, oh, the bats do get in your hair, you know. And then Mandrake comes in and, you know, tries to seize the pod bloom, but Ronan comes in. He looks all beaten up. He's like, you know how many Bogans I had to fight? Oh, what's one more, you know? So they fight, and Nog comes in to help, and as the pod is blooming in the moonlight, cause, you know, everyone to fly back, and Mandrake, he gets fly back against the tree, and it's caught his own tar, and he gets sucked in, you know. He gets sucked into his own carbon, and it hardens up, you know, against the tree. So then the queen the Queen Tara shows up, you know, and as it chooses the new queen, she chooses this flower girl that she liked Quitara from the beginning. You know, I was like, oh, I want to be just like her, you know. And at one point, when the first attack of the Bogans first attack against the queen, you know, she like saves her by, you know, hitting one of them. So Quitara picks her as the Force's new queen, and she uses her powers to make MK return back to her normal size, you know. And before they still keep in contact with them through the cameras, you know. And as they're gonna go out, you know, it's like here, you know, it's like here, Dad, because her dad made her a helmet like his, and it's like, why don't you go and tell him yourself, you know. And as they all run out to the forest, as they run out to the forest, you know, and that's when the movie ends. So yeah, I always enjoyed Epic. I saw it a couple of times in the theater, you know. That's the one time I saw it with my brother, you know. And he liked the film as well. The cast was pretty good. Amanda Seyfried as MK. I mentioned that. She voiced MK. She was good. Josh Hutcherson, Colin Farrell. They were good. And the rest of the supporting cast: Christoph Waltz, Beyonce Knowles, Aziz Ansari, Chris O Dowd, Jason Sudeikis, and Steven Tyler. Were also really good as well. Supporting cast. The whole cast did a good job, you know. I'm sure, but I'm talking too fast again. Calm myself down. I do agree with this here thing on the back from Peter Hammond from Movie Line, extraordinary, magical, and wondrous movie for everyone. I do agree with that. I did like this. I like the score that was from made by Danny Elfman. You know, Danny Elfman. But I mentioned a couple of views ago that I did like his scores. You know, to most of his movies, and I like the score for this movie. You know. The film is on for 102 minutes, but it goes at a fast pace. And the film was, like I said, the film was pretty successful. And I don't know there's talks someone they want to make a sequel to this. I don't know, I'm not sure though. But to me personally, I would mind if I want a sequel to be made. You know, I would like to see a sequel to this. See how the story progresses further, you know. So I would like to see a sequel to Epic, you know. It's worth seeing. They made sequels to Ice Age films, and they made a sequel to Rio, so why not make a sequel to this, you know? I like the Ice Age films, and I like Rio and Rio 2, which I saw earlier on this year, and I would like to see a sequel to this. Really well made animated film, you know, and very good voice cast, you know, and characters and the score, you know, the direction. I like to see a sequel to this. I hope they will make a sequel. So, I'm pausing. I'm trying to think of anything else to say before ending this review. Like I said about the reception and how the film was mixed though, but mostly positives, and box office and the ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomato. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know what I can say. So Epic, I would say it is epic, you know. Hence the title, you know. Hope they do make a sequel to this, and that's it. So that's and also showing the poster once again. I will one time get it framed. Trying to show like this because the glare on the computer. So that's my review for Epic. Thanks for watching. Take care, and stay tuned for the next review. Later.